Welcome to this first episode of the Shoes Have Souls podcast. I am your host, Jayson Wells, and to start this thing off, we're actually going to do something different. So I invited one of my closest friends, Mr. Keymon Maddox, to actually interview me for this first podcast. And we're going to start this one off the same way that we'll start off every episode, which is...
What was the first pair of shoes that lit up your soul?
Ooh. Man, I knew you was gonna ask that question, and I still got goosebumps, dog. The first pair of shoes that lit up my soul was the Jordan 7s, and that shoe specifically. Like, of course, there were J's before that. There was the 1s, which is a classic. There was I'm a fan of all the J's, probably up to about 14 or 15 and then skip some, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all have stories. And the reason that it's the Jordan 7 for me is because I couldn't afford the 1 through 6. And the 7 was the first one that I was able to get. And, you know, I was brought up in I ain't got $100 to spend on no shoes. You ain't about to do this like that. You know, that was my family. And so I remember specifically it was the Hair Jordan, the white with the light gray, and they had like the green and the red. It was the ones that he did with Bugs Bunny. I was in the 10th grade and I wore them for my first JV basketball game. And bro, I'm straight up. At that time, you couldn't have told me that I didn't jump higher, that I didn't run faster, that I didn't play better. So again, man, those 1 through 6s, as far as the J's go, stand out to me. But yeah, the first pair that lit up my soul was that pair of Jordan 7s, man, because that was the first pair that I was able to actually rock and have.
So how did we get here? How did we land based on the first pair of shoes that lit up your soul? How did we get here with Shoes Have Soul? What is the audacious dream? How did we get here? What is that for you?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you asking that. So my big audacious goal, man, is to lovingly unite the world as team. And I know that sounds wild to some people, like, man, how you gonna lovingly, first off, if I'm using that word, unite the world? Like that's a task. And then as team. And so what does that mean? And so those 3 words actually play out. So love for me is, I can love you and not like you. You know, that's just the world we in. The love piece, and you know this just by being my friend, like I define love as a commitment to someone else's well-being. And so that takes out romantic love, that takes time, that takes out family love. I'm supposed to love my family. Like if I'm moving in a place where I'm committed to someone else's well-being, then I can honestly and truly say, I love the person that I walk past, and, you know, I don't know their name, I don't know their story, I don't know anything about them. But if I'm committed to what's best for them and what they want for them, and I think that's the part behind it, is I'm committed to what they want for them, not what I want for them. And for me, that's my definition of love. Unite is really this invitation into this. I love the prefix you and I. It's one, and I feel like everything boils back down to one for me. And so you and I being the prefix to unite, that's how I want to see it. I want to see this world as one, lovingly as one. And then the team piece is the invitation into my world, man. I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete most of my life. I've been on teams most of my life. And even going back to the love piece, I've been on teams where I didn't like the people that I was on the team with.
Yeah.
But it's still, we were still team. And so that's my big audacious goal, man. And I feel like shoes provide an opportunity for us to be able to share story and connect as team before we get to all of the potential objections that we may have as individuals. For whatever reason, I might not typically connect with somebody, whatever I may have. It could be their race, it could be their gender, it could be you know, just how they look in general. It could be my personality. It could be so many different things that could be objections into what's going to stop me from connecting with somebody. But then at the same time, I got those objections, and that same person that has those objections will walk up and be like, yo, man, I did your shoes. You know, so I feel like shoes is this thing that can bond us and unite us, as we were just talking about. And so, yeah, man, why not share these stories and hear these stories using shoes as a platform?
When you say that, I hear so much passion and conviction behind it. And my question to you is, do you ever feel like you're on this island alone with this dream, with this vision? Like what is that? What does that look like for you?
Yeah,
And what does it feel like for you?
Yeah, I don't. I don't feel like I'm alone. Man, you gave me goosebumps again, bro. Like, it's this point to where I think there's a difference between being alone and being lonely, even if I'm answering your question. So, are there times where I'm alone? Yes, because I actually enjoy being by myself. I'm very outgoing. And in those outgoing moments, I enjoy those times where I get to sit my butt down and kind of be with myself and just to myself. But as far as on this journey, no. And a big piece of this was a few years ago, I got introduced. I've always been a fan of numbers and, kind of the world's population. And so right now, today, as recording, there's roughly about 8 billion people in the world. And up until about last year, I used to refer to myself as 1%, 1%, 1%. Well, 1% of 8 billion is obviously 80 million. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. And then last year, I got introduced to 2%. How 2% of the world actually becomes the tipping point, which is this phrase of that's when paradigms shift. The world was flat. No, it's not. It's round. It only takes 2% of the world to shift the paradigm. And so as I started to get introduced to that number, I was like, well, let me play around with 2%, which will obviously take my number to 160 million if we're working on that. The big shift for me, man, was I stopped focusing on the 98%. And I started focusing and attracting the 2%. And even though it's a smaller number, because my energy is now attracted towards the people that believe what I believe, that think what I think, that want what I want, and not down to a specific, but want growth, want unity, want love, want peace, want joy, bro. And that was a game changer for me, because once I started focusing on the 2, I felt like those moments of aloneness actually became less and less, because I'm constantly finding myself surrounded by my people.
Got you. Yeah, no, that's good, because you mentioned something about I love what's best for you, and you want, and not even being able to really connect with the person. That's just you want the best for strangers that you meet, the people that you don't know their stories. So how do you not become frustrated with that? Because I know we're in a world where if people don't operate the way we operate, it builds frustration. So how do you navigate through that world to kind of still stay grounded in your peace?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I said, and then I'll add on it as well. But the first thing is I stay grounded by not focusing on the 98. But and even if I'm to clarify that, I don't focus on the 98, I attract the 2. The energy that I put out is attractive to the 2. The vibes that are in the frequency and the way that I show up. You said a couple minutes ago, you feel the passion. Like the energy that I put out is attractive to the 2. And even deeper than that, I feel like it's unattractive to the 98. Like I'm too much for the 98, man. The 98 don't really want to rock with me there, man. Something, he too happy, he too this, he too that. And so I feel like more of it's an attraction to the 2%, but it's also a deterrent to the 98, because it don't take very long to realize that, oh, okay, not only is he like this, but he like this a lot of the time. So I don't even want to put out that kind of energy. And so that helps me stay grounded. And then I think the other piece that helps me stay grounded with not being frustrated with what other people want, or me being, over zealous with, I want them to, is this reminder that I want what you want for you, which is, now we use this phrase of, meet people where they are, meet people where they are. And like one of the things that you and I talk about is not meeting people where they are. Are you meeting them where they are? Or are you meeting them where you want them to be? And for me, man, I'm constantly in this place where I'm reminding myself that I'm not meeting that person where I want them to be, but I am constantly meeting them where they are. And that to me that's a growth area for me. It's a constant growth area for me because I do, man, I see the beauty in people, the potential in people, all of this greatness in people that a lot of times they don't see in themselves. And so me being able to constantly remind myself like, yo, this is not about where I want them to be. It's where they are right now, man. I constantly get to re-gauge and recalibrate how I show up in their lives. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be the hero of their story, not me.
Makes sense. So my next question to you is, tell me about the shoes that you're wearing today and why you're wearing them and what steps are you taking in life today?
Yeah, so I got them with me, and it goes back to that original question back. So I got my sevens.
Man, those are fresh. Could I have those?
I felt, knowing that we were doing this, man, I brought out the sevens. This is the first time that I've worn them. This isn't the colorway that I originally had, but again, knowing that we were going to do this and knowing what the answer to that first question was, but I chose those to bring in that connection. But to answer the second part of your question about like, where are my steps taking me today, man, I'm in this part of life right now where I am obsessed, and that's the word I use. I'm obsessed with learning myself. And I'm obsessed with this journey of constant growing and evolution. And with that comes pain. Like, growing ain't easy. You know what I mean? I think about the pruning of a tree. I remember the first time I saw a landscaping crew pruning a tree, and I was an adult when I ran that. What they doing? Like, why they cutting off the branches like that? Not realizing that the cutting off of those branches was actually beneficial to the tree and was going to let the tree bloom in ways that it wouldn't have been able to bloom, man. And that's where I'm at right now, man. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday, and the key word that kept showing up in our conversation was transition. Transition. And if I'm gonna tap into my basketball world for a second, that was the thing that I got. I did summer league with the Miami Heat back when Coach Riley was coaching. And in those few days of practice, he constantly said, the thing that happens most in our game is transition. So that's the thing we're gonna focus on. And I think people think, especially with sports, they think transition from offense to defense. Nah, transition from I have the ball to I don't have the ball. Transition from on-ball defense to help side defense. Transition from I'm in the game to I'm out the game. You know what I mean? Like, all of those things are transition. And that resonates with me when Coach Riley said that. Like, I didn't even play a summer league game with the Miami Heat that year. But in those 4 days of practice, I have something that I'm now using 20, 25 years later in my life, which is this focus on transition. And just like in sports, man, transition is always happening. You know, I'm from single to being in a relationship. I'm from not being a parent to being a parent. I'm from having a job to being unemployed. I'm from, you know what I mean? Like, it's always happening. And so I'm embracing the transition, bro.
So tell me about your faith. What does that look like? And correlating that with the transition, right? We talk about, from in a relationship, out of relationship, from working to not working. Like, how do you hold it together? Because it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot. How do you keep this going?
Man, I just this morning I went on my power walk. And I was actually invited to walk with one of our friends, Rosa. And so I walked with Rosa this morning, and we were talking about spirituality. And bro, this kind of goes back, and this is a perfect segue even from your last question of where my steps are today. Where I am in my journey as far as spirituality, man, is I find myself, I want to be intentional on how I say this. I find myself connected to many religions. Mm-hmm. And why I said I want to be intentional about that is because I don't want to say that I'm disconnected from religion, but I find myself connected to many religions, because at the end of the day, as I sit here with Embrace Your Story on, like at the end of the day, religions to me, in my experience, and I have plenty of it, they all boil down to an individual story. There's the story of Jesus. There's the story of Buddha. There's the story of the Muslim story of Allah, and they all become stories. And I say that with the utmost respect to the religion, but it is a story. None of us were there. None of us have any real life recollection of what was going on. And so if I'm tapping back into my experience of the things that I've been able to do in my life and be a part of in my life, I'm born and raised with a Southern Baptist grandmother. And then second 6 years of school, I went to Catholic school. So 7th grade through 12th grade, middle school through high school, I went to Catholic school. So now I got that little bit of religion. Then I went to college where I feel like we lost it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I played 5 of my 13 years in Israel, where I was immersed in Judaism, Muslim, Christianity. Like I was in the middle of all of that, the Holy Land, literally the Holy Land. And then in my retirement, I found myself attracted to Far Eastern religions, Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism. And bro, all of these religions, when they break down to their simplest form, to me, break back down to love. And that's how I move right now, man. So I'm not necessarily in a space where I'm ultra religious, but I'm magna spiritual, in a sense of, I don't care what you call your God. I don't care if you don't believe in God. I don't care how you pray to your God. But at the end of the day, if I'm to say I got a tattoo on my back that say love is life, and to me, God, and whatever name that an individual puts to him, boils back down to love. And so if love is life, then God is life, and whatever you call your God is life. And that's how I stay grounded, bro.
Just listening to you say that, I'm just like, damn, do you ever have off days? What does an off day look like for Jayson Wells? Because everything seems so perfect, so key, and I'm sure that's what most people probably think outside of me. And me knowing you, I know that you have off days and been with you to experience your off days. But what does that look like? What do you want the world to know about Jayson Wells at this point, in terms of looking at it in that fashion of no off days?
Yeah, like I'm in one right now, and you don't even know that I got goosebumps again, because you're like, you're asking that question, and you don't even know the day that I'm having right now. The day that I'm having right now is filled with the way my bank account looks, and I actually have a check that was deposited into my bank account that I talked to my bank today, and they're like, oh, we got to hold it until the 16th. The 16th? What you mean? Like today is
can you release some of that now?
Like, and that's, you know, typically that's what they do. Here, you gotta have access to a little bit of this, but we're gonna hold, bro, none of it. They won't release it. And so like, that's frustrating, man. And if I'm going into my phone, this is real, man. And this is real life happening right here. So in a text chain, I said to myself, who do I get to be in this moment? Which is a question that I always ask myself. Who do I get to be in this moment? And in this moment, I get to be patient, I get to be confident, and I get to be calm. Because at the end of the day, bro, I can't control it. I can't make the bank release my funds. I can't make the school that wrote the check, you know, rewrite it. I don't control any of that. And so in this moment where, you know, another phrase we use, you know, you got to control the controllables. Yeah, that sounds good. But in this moment where I'm not able to control a lot of stuff, what I can control is my attitude. What I can control is my effort. What I can control is my response. And in that moment, I get to ask myself, who do I get to be? I get to be patient. I get to be confident, knowing that I'm good. No matter what, I'm good. This is happening because I'm good. And I get to be calm, man, because anger and frustration and disappointment, those don't work well for me. I feel them, but that's not where I want to be. And so very quickly I get to say, okay, cool. If that's not where I want to be, then what do I get to do differently? Or that's not what I want to be. And I kind of want to sit here in them in that frustration for a minute. But whatever it is, it's a choice. And that's what it is for me, man. It's simple but not easy. It's the power of choice, man. And I choose that even in my frustrations and my disappointments and my discouragements, I choose to stay in alignment with the things that bring me peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a hell of a lot of practice, bro. It's a hell of a lot of practice.
It's a lot. And you know, I found my ways times where I slipped up and got out of character and made a choice to operate in a way that didn't fit me, but I can definitely say it is practice. It is practice. So what footprints do you want to leave on the world today? Like what footprints?
Man.
Legacy. What legacy? What
you
what
stole my word. And the reason I say you stole my word is because, again, you being my friend, you know this, but I don't do resolutions at the top of the year like most people. I read a book back in 2014, turning into 15 at the end of that year, called One Word. And from that year, I've only done one word to summarize my year, not a bunch of resolutions. I'm gonna lose this weight, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's one word. And my one word for 2023 is legacy. And I felt like it's only right. And it's actually the way that I'm gonna answer this will tie into the previous two questions, because the first pair of shoes that lit up my soul was a Jordan. The shoes and the steps that I'm wearing today is a Jordan. And the footprint I want to leave on the world, part of the reason that I came up with the word legacy is because it's 2023, which is obviously Jordan. And it is a legacy. And I think about that legacy in a few different ways. I have sons. I have two sons. They're now 16 and 13. So I think about the legacy that I want to leave with them when I'm no longer here physically. What have I left as far as an imprint of who they are because of who I was? My dad's been passed away for 20 years now, and I'm thinking about who I am because of who he was. And that's part of legacy. But then also the legacy that I want to leave outside of my immediate family, the footprint that I want to leave in this world. And I want to leave a footprint of, if I'm talking about that dash in between 1976 and whenever my physical body isn't in this form, that dash, I would want it to say some version of Jayson showed up as authentic, Jayson showed up as love, Jayson showed up as peace, Jayson showed up as joy, Jayson challenged us, Jayson supported us, Jayson encouraged us. Like it's those things that I want to leave in the world, man. And that goes back to my definition of love, man, of being committed to someone else's well-being. I don't know who that who is. If I turn into Dr. Seuss for a minute, like I don't know who that who is. So because I don't know who that who is, I treat everybody as if it's that who, if that person is that who. So it could be you as one of my closest friends. It could be the homeless person, you know, that I like, bro, even if I don't give money or give something that I have at the time to a homeless person, one of the things that I do my best to do is roll my window down, acknowledge them, give them a fist bump, and ask them their name. I got goosebumps again. Like
why is that? Why?
Because man, you can only think about what I have done, and I'm gonna challenge you because I know you have done it, because most of us do it. In that moment, in the moment where we decided we're gonna give, and whatever giving could be, it could be monetary, I got some leftover food, I got a bottle of water, whatever it is, in that moment that we've decided to give, we feel good. But in that moment where we know we're not about to give, we roll up our windows, we look straight, I'm gonna act like I don't even see this person. And bro, even in I don't have anything to give, I can still give you my energy. I can still acknowledge you as a person. So me giving him a fist bump and asking him what his name is or asking her what her name is still my service in the world. I actually gave you something just then. Whether or not you see it, I feel it. And I feel the same way as if I was to give you $100 bill. So it's an acknowledgement piece, man. And at the end of the day, bro, I feel like everybody want to be acknowledged. Even if you're an introverted person who kind of want to ride below the radar, we know it because we've done it, but everybody appreciate, yo, man, I see them shoes. I see you over there with those Air Max. Yeah. Yo, man, I see your shirt. I see that LA hat you got on. Even if I don't like LA, even if I'm not from LA, I see you. And I feel like moving like that, man, is gonna leave the footprints that I want to leave in the world.
Oh, I don't even know if there's any more questions after that one. I'm not sure if I have anything. I think one thing that comes to mind is what do you determine as successful or success for Jayson Wells? What is that? Is that a monetary thing? Is that a value thing? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I feel like, again, you know these questions, you know these answers, but for me, man, I don't even base it on success. My definition of success is I've done great for myself, which is cool. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But as I move through life and continue on my journey, I've also come to realize that that's not where my personal journey ends. My journey doesn't end with me doing great for myself, because now I'm like, I know people, you know people, we know people that according to that definition of success, they have the money, they eat at the restaurants, they drive the cars, they live in the houses, they go on the vacations, they've done great for themselves, yet at night they lay their head down and they're totally unfulfilled, totally unsatisfied, and totally unhappy, even though they're in the middle of all of this success. So for me, my challenge to success is now significance. And so if success is me doing great for me, significance to me is now how have I taken my greatness and allowed somebody else and created a space for somebody else to be great. So success for me is how have I significantly impacted the world, whether it's individually one-on-one or whether it's collectively within the group, whether it's with a bunch of people that I don't even know. Like there's no way that I'm ever going to meet all 8 billion people in the world. There's no way. But I say it like this. I never physically met Dr. King. I never physically met Tupac. I never physically met some people that have impact and inspiration in this world, yet I'm totally impacted and inspired by them. And so I want to be one of those people, man. When I'm not physically here and physically able to show up, I still want to be in a place where people are like, okay, cool, I ain't never met that dude. And it might not even be that dude. There are people that you know that have no idea that I exist, that got influenced by something you did that you got from me, or that, you know, you and I kind of cultivated together. Cool, that's a footprint for me, bro.
Yeah,
that's a footprint for me. So that's significance for me, man, and showing up in this space where I get to live how I want to live and do it my way, like Frank Sinatra.
Well, I am super honored to have this opportunity to actually conduct this interview. I know what this means to you. I know this whole project, where it's headed and where it's going. So I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
My dude. And you can best believe we're going to flip this and do it the way it's supposed to be done, which is you being a guest on the podcast. That's going to happen, man. As we wrap, I'm gonna wrap it the way that I want to start. My vision is to start every podcast the same and finish every podcast the same. And so what you just heard was my soul story. It was my story through the steps that I'm taking, through the shoes that I'm wearing. And I want to also to invite other people to share their soul stories, or suggest some people that you want to hear, man. Like, yo, I don't know Glenn very well. I want to hear his soul story. But yeah, like having these opportunities to be able to share, man, because again, it goes back to the big audacious goal of lovingly uniting the world through team. And my dad used to always tell me as we rap, my dad used to always tell me that stagnation equals death and that slow steps are better than no steps. And we're in the middle of getting merch printed up as we speak. And it's simple, hashtag keep stepping. Just keep moving. Keep moving. And backwards is movement. Even being still is movement if it's an intentional stillness. I get going forever. So at the end of the day, man, I'm honored. I'm honored that you took me up on this, man, and that we knocked this out. And other than that, bro, keep stepping, man. I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Peace.